This is the Sony Alpha NEX3. It is Sony's mirrorless camera. In summary, what a mirrorless camera is something kind of a bit of a cross between a point and shoot and a DSLR. So what you get is that you will get a DSLR sensor. In this case, this is an APS-C sensor, they call it. This is the same sensor that's found on the Canon 500D. So you can see it's a huge sensor compared to a point and shoot at least. And the ability for you to change lenses. So in this case, Sony is using its own E-mount. They call it E-mount lenses, so it's a slightly smaller mount than a normal DSLR, but you can buy an adapter and use Sony's full range of alpha mounts. And I've also seen third-party converters that let you use all sorts of lenses, including Canon lenses. And of course, at the same time, still be able to give you a small body. So the whole idea is it's a camera that has the portability of a point and shoot, but have the capabilities of a DSLR. So let's start from the top. Let's take a look at the controls on this camera. So you can see that all it has is you got a little switch to turn the camera on or off. You got a shutter switch here. You got a playback switch. You have a movie recording switch button. It's not even a switch. And then on the front here you have two contextual buttons. So basically allows you to select whatever it's on here. So you also get this, which is a combination of a 4-directional pad as well as a wheel. So depending on situation, so in this case, for example, if I push it up, it's actually making me control the display settings or the flash settings and so on. But if I actually select in, this is the select button, by the way, I actually use this as a wheel to change certain settings or also to navigate menus if I want to. So this is the controls. Very, very simple. No dials, no extra dials and switches. It's good and bad. Some people actually like the switches because it allows you to change settings very quickly. But Sony relies a lot on software in this particular camera model. So changing settings requires you to go into the camera menu. So that is the side. This is the display. It's a really, really nice display. It's very big, and the colors, I don't know the exact resolution, but the resolution seems to be very high. And I'm not sure if you can actually see it. It's very sharp. You can hardly see the pixels. And the great thing about this display is that the screen can actually move. So you can actually lift it up like this if you want to take pictures that's below your head. So you can kind of lower it, or you can actually flip it out this way so that you can take pictures above your head, or whatever you want to do, right? So you can actually just kind of tilt the screen whichever angle you want. I've been using this for about a month now, and it doesn't seem like this is something that's gonna break easily, even though it does look like it can. Okay, so on this side you have two ports. You have the USB port as well as the HDMI out. So this is the only two ports on this, the only two connectors on this entire camera itself, which means there's no audio in, there's no audio out, there's no AV out neither. So you cannot connect your own microphones or headphones to this thing at all, so which is not a good thing. Right, on top you have, by the way, I missed this one out earlier. This is a proprietary connector for its accessories, right? So you can use it to connect its flash, which by the way comes with the camera itself. And basically you can actually tilt it upwards and screw it into the camera itself. Okay. Other accessories that will be coming out, there's actually an optical viewfinder which you can actually attach to this. There's also a microphone, sort of like a little boom mic kind of thing that you can actually connect to it. So of course it means that there's no standard shoe. You cannot connect a standard flash to this neither. And you have stereo microphones, and as well you have got a speaker right here. Okay, nothing much on this side. Let's go to the front. Okay, you got the autofocus light, assist light. And of course you got this switch here that allows you to release the lens. Okay, you got your usual thread, and over here you have the battery compartment and the memory card compartment, which is kind of interesting. This compartment supports both SD, as you can see, this is an SD card, as well as memory stick cards. So you can actually put both. I mean, not at the same time, but you can put you can put either or into the camera itself. I'm just gonna put the SD card back instead. Which is great. One thing I realized about this camera is that it really is designed for people who are beginners, people who never, used the DSLR DSLR before, you don't know what it means to what is exposure, what is aperture, and so on and so forth. And you know, it's designed to both make it easy for you, make it intelligent for you. At the same time, it can also teach you certain things about taking photography, as well as what, you know, these settings actually are. So I'm somebody like that. I'm not a DSLR person, I'm a video person. So, you know, I'm not familiar with the terms and things like that. So this camera has been really useful for me, which I personally liked quite a bit. So let's take a look at the screen itself. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, that very little dials. Everything relies on software through menus. So for example, even things like changing a shoot mode. So I have to go through the menu right here. And you can see this is a little virtual dial which you can spin using the wheel, obviously. And so you have intelligent auto, which is basically a mode that is really intelligent. What it does is that it uses, one thing I forgot to mention is that this camera actually has the CPU, Sony's own proprietary CPU called EXMOR, if I'm not wrong, XMOR or something like that. And it's a very powerful CPU that allows this camera to do a lot of crazy stuff, you know, even though it's a camera, okay? So let me just start with talking about the intelligent auto. So you can see right now this is in backlight mode. It's actually able to detect, you know, what is actually going on around it and give you the correct settings. So you can see it's trying to determine the correct settings. If I point it downwards like this, okay, and in due time it will actually change itself into macro mode because I'm bringing something that's close up. If it sees a face, it will switch to portrait mode. If it sees a face that's really dim, it will switch to backlight portrait mode. If it's at night, it will switch to night portrait mode. If it's really dark, it will switch to night view. So this is a very intelligent camera that automatically changes settings and stuff like that for you if you leave it in the intelligent auto. And another interesting thing here is you see shoot tips right here. So right now I'm in macro mode. If I hit shoot tips, it will actually bring me into some documents, some documentation that actually teaches you about. So in this case, it's showing you how to do the defocusing. All right. So basically, you know, blur out the background to have nicer looking photos. But it doesn't just teach you, you know, technical stuff. It also teaches you how to frame a picture. In this case, it says that when shooting flowers close up, try cutting off part of the flowers, position the flowers off center. So it really teaches you stuff, which I thought is really cool. Right? You see that macro food, how to take pictures of food. I mean, you know, this really is literally a beginner's camera. But of course, as time passes and you want to start learning new stuff, you can start moving away from intelligent auto, and you got program auto. Basically, they set aperture. I think most photographers will know what program auto is, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. So now I know that it basically sets the hardware stuff automatically, but I can choose other things. So let's go into this mode. And at the same time, I can show you some of the other things that you can actually set, which has been part of the rest of the menu. You got a brightness and color composition, color menu inside here. You can choose the exposure composition or the ISO. And this camera has a really pretty insane high ISO, which allows you to actually take you know, pictures in really low light. So this is one of the strengths of this camera. And let's go back to this particular menu, metering mode. Alright, you got white balancing, and it's a very powerful white balancing as well. I mean, not powerful, it's advanced white balancing. It's not your usual kind of presets. You can actually adjust accordingly, you know, how much you want to balance in that particular preset, as well as, you know, changing all the way down to things such as, you know, color temperature, alright, and custom, of course, which is everybody's favorite. Okay. And other things, you got metering mode, you got HDR as well, so it's actually able to take HDR photos for you, which is basically taking two pictures, one in low overexposure and the other one which is underexposed. Creative style, which is, you know, the colors and all that stuff. Alright, going down to cameras, you got drive mode, so you got single advance as well as multi-shot and so on and so forth. And you got face detection, smile shutter and smile detection. This is actually pretty fun. I'm afraid I can't show you because, you know, I don't have anybody else with me. But what it does is that you can literally measure how much somebody is smiling with this, and it will actually, you will see a little bar on the side of the screen and it will show you how much somebody is smiling, which is really fun. But nonetheless, a little bit of a gimmick. Okay, and you got the autofocus, manual focus select. So what it does is that this is called DMF. Let me just switch to manual focusing and show you something that's kind of cool about its manual focus. When you start focusing, say for example, I want to focus onto say a plant right here. The moment you start focusing, it will actually zoom the entire screen in, so that you can actually see whether you're focusing you're focusing everything right before it actually exits for you. So this is actually kind of cool. And while we are at this mode, why not let me just show you the video mode as well. It's basically any mode that you are in, and just hit the movie mode. And I'm just gonna do that right now, and I'm gonna switch to this camera right now. And so you can see right here, you can hear the difference in sound between the microphone on my camera and the microphone on the Sanyo. So right now I'm in manual focus. Remember, I just switched to manual focus. And you can see one of the strengths about using a camera like this is its insane sense of depth. You can see it really, things in the background really blur out, and things really focused onto the Sanyo camera that I have right here, which lets you take really beautiful videos. Alright, so this is one of the things that I really love about having a camera like a DSLR, doing videos with DSLR, which we talked about a little bit with the Canon 500D. Okay. So by the way, in case those of you who are wondering, you can't actually take pictures while you're taking videos. So in this case, I'm going to try and hit the shutter, and nothing actually happens. So you can't take photos while it's taking video, which is, I thought, is a little strange. And another thing is that when you're focusing in video mode, you don't get that zooming in kind of thing. So you got to rely completely on what you're seeing. So that is the video mode. So you can see right here the program auto, aperture priority, shutter priority, manual exposure. And so right now I'm changing the shutter speed, and you can see how I can actually push it all the way up to 30 seconds and bulb mode. This camera also has bulb mode, so which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to turn that back down. And of course you can change everything else basically by just pushing a button. So right now I'm changing the f-stop. You got a 3D sweep panorama mode and a sweep panorama. Let me just show you the sweep panorama mode first. What it does is that it's making use of that really powerful CPU as well to stitch together pictures really quickly. Alright, so I'm gonna start from this side. And what it does is it takes the first, I was trying to figure out how it actually adjusts the settings. Right now what it is it's pretty much in program auto. So it actually takes the first frame and then sets the setting accordingly. But it's really bright now, so if I take a photo right now, it's going to be underexposed. So I'm going to go to somewhere, maybe start from here, and you can see that I can just hit the shutter. And without touching the shutter, I'm just kind of just moving the camera around like this. And look at the speed that it processes the pictures and stitches it together. It's pretty amazing. So I'm just going to hit the play and just show you the photo right now. And it actually does a very good job at stitching the photos together. Look at that. And it's such a short speed as well. So this is one of the fun features about this camera, you know, being able to do things like that. So there's a 3D sweep panorama as well. So what it does is that it's actually able to take a 3D picture for real. Alright? The only thing is that you need a 3D TV that can actually view it. So I don't have a 3D TV, so there's nothing much to talk about this. Anti-motion blur is another feature that I really love. This lets you take pictures in low light, and what it does is that it takes about 4 to 5 photos, and then using the CPU again, tries to stitch them together and kind of render something that is actually sharp, even though in low light. So this photo that you're looking at right now, for example, was taken in low light. So you could look at how sharp it is if you actually zoom in the photo. Okay, so back to the camera itself. Scene selection. So you can see that you can actually switch to different modes, and they actually give you an example of photo of what it means. So you know, you can't actually you can't get actually simpler than this, because they literally give you a sample picture to tell you how to switch to the scene. So as you can see, this is a camera that has both advanced features, you know, really lets you tweak the settings if you really want to, as well as really simple stuff like intelligent auto, scene selections, panorama. So they combine, you know, some of the ease of use and the fun stuff from a point and shoot, and still give you, you know, lots of manual modes and manual settings that you can actually set and mess around with. In the manual modes. So we've got some more videos coming up for from this particular camera to show you the different lens, to compare with you this particular lens, which is the 18-55mm lens, with the pancake lens, which is the 16mm lens. And so this is the Sony Alpha NEX3. It comes with several models and 3 colors, by the way: silver, black, and red. Okay, you can buy one with the 18-55, or you can buy one with the 16mm, or you can buy one with both, right? The price varies, like all cameras, depending on shops that you get. The official price starts from 999 Singapore dollars, okay? So this is the Sony Alpha NEX3. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/65bits, or just check out our website, www.tech65.org, for more videos like the one you just saw. Alright, that's it. I'll see you guys soon.